Hello, BookTube. I've got a small morning mail haul for you. I think there'll be plenty more coming later today. But I also have a little discussion, chatty poo type thing, and that involves our read-along, our Anthony Trollope read-along, our Can You Forgive Steve Donahue, our read-along of Can You Forgive Her by Anthony Trollope. The response that I've been getting in emails and texts and the Voxer has been very nice, very enthusiastic, which is, this makes me glow on the inside, makes my artificial transplanted rhesus monkey heart beat 2 1/3 times faster. Because I love doing it. I absolutely, doing that video on Sunday with the first read-along video for Can You Forgive Her really reminded me how much I love doing read-alongs. I don't know why. I haven't quite pieced it out in my mind yet, but I love it. So, I want to make 2 points in connection with that. And the first one is that I want to keep doing them. I want to do a read-along every month on this channel. And the second one, of course, you're going to see it coming because I want to know what you want to do. I want to know what you want to do next. On one level, the obvious next book to do would be the next book in the Palliser series by Anthony Trollope, since Can You Forgive Her is the first book in that series. But I'm thinking, back-to-back 700-page Trollope novels. I might strain your patience. Now, some read-along lampposts, at least this first year, that I've been doing this all the time, are sort of fixed. I've mentioned on this channel many times before that every year I reread the Iliad and the Odyssey, the Iliad in June and the Odyssey in August. So those are going to be the read-alongs for those months. We'll do the Iliad in June and we'll do the Odyssey in August. But that still leaves May. Before we even start talking about the details of a read-along of the Iliad in June, what are we going to read in May? That's what I want to know. What do you feel like doing? Would you be more comfortable if I picked a book? I think I still want to go with a Common Domain classic so that you all have the option of getting a copy that costs you nothing, just an electronic copy that costs you nothing. And also so that if you want to go with a printed book, you'll have many options at any charity store for virtually nothing. I think I still want to go with the classic, but I don't. That still leaves, a spectrum as broad as all of creation. Are you thinking nonfiction? Fiction? Is there any particular classic that you think we can get through in a month that you've always wanted to do in a reading group? I have a few ideas of my own, but I'd love to hear what you think. So by all means, in the comments field, let me know suggestions for May's read-along. We'll do one read-along a month, and we'll just see how it goes. June is easy. June is the Iliad. All we'll have to talk about is translations and all that sort of meta nonsense. But May is wide open. So, but anyway, we've got 2 packages here. That's not much. This will be a nice video. It won't be 30 minutes long. This is first one. Oh, bless you. Oh, bless you. Good Lord. Okay, this person has the neatest handwriting in the world. Oh, I was hoping. This is from Simon & Schuster. This comes out in July. Look at that. Indianapolis. Look at the size of this thing. Very nice. The beautiful high-resolution, that's the ship photoshopped onto high-resolution imagery of the ocean. Wonderful. Okay. This is by Lynn Vincent and Sarah Vladeck, and it's the true story of the worst sea disaster in U.S. Navy history and the 50-year fight to exonerate an innocent man. And we don't have any, I just have a note from the publicist. I don't have any sell sheets, so we'll try and hold this up nice and visible there. Just after midnight on July 30, 1945, days after delivering the Hiroshima bomb from California to the Pacific Islands in the most highly classified naval mission of the war, USS Indianapolis is sailing in the center of the Philippine Sea when she is struck by 2 Japanese torpedoes. The ship is instantly transformed into a fiery cauldron and sinks within minutes. 300 men go down with the ship. Nearly 900 make it into the water alive. For 5 nights and 4 days, almost 300 miles from the nearest land, they battle injuries, sharks, dehydration, insanity, and eventually each other. Only 317 survive, and scores go on to spend the next half-century fighting to clear the name of their captain, who was court-martialed for the sinking. Now, thanks to new research and more than 100 survivor and eyewitness interviews collected over nearly 2 decades, our authors tell the full story of the USS Indianapolis, an extraordinary human drama that brings the ship and its crew back to full, vivid, unforgettable life. Now, the Indianapolis, even those of you who are not, like me, absolute addicts for World War II history, will still be familiar to most of you, because this is the ship that Quint is talking about in Steven Spielberg's movie Jaws, when he has that Robert Shaw does that inspired monologue about 900 men went into the water, 300 men came out, sharks took the rest. The monologue is virtually a movie in its own right, and it was it's an incredible performance. Is as much as I hate to say it, it is the highlight of the movie. If you had to reduce the movie to one highlight, that would be it, of course. And you could tell, not that any of you are old enough to remember it, certainly I'm not, since I'm only 28, but you could tell even when you were walking out of the movie theater that you had just seen 15 minutes that would be part of cinema legend forever. And that monologue gives you the story of the Indianapolis in sort of a nutshell. That all these men went into the water and the sharks just came cruising. I'm going to resist the urge to lapse into my Robert Shaw. The sharks come cruising and just start tearing people apart. And the research that has come out since, over the decades, has been kind of spotty. And sometimes a little disappointing for those of us who are dyed-in-the-wool shark fans. Because in addition to being the worst sea disaster in U.S. naval history, it's also by far the worst shark disaster. And so it's a little melancholy that some revisionist accounts of the survivors in the water after the Indianapolis went down have sort of downplayed the shark attacks. They've said, that's mostly legend. That isn't the fatalities due to shark attack were much smaller, even by the eyewitness accounts, were much smaller than the legend has it. Certainly, that the Spielberg movie puts it out to be. So that's fascinating that these two authors have done the legwork. This looks like it will be the very last definitive primary source study of the Indianapolis, and probably the last study of the Indianapolis. It has the feel, that's why I requested it, it has the feel of the definitive work on the subject. And that appeals to Steve greatly, even if the sharks are sidelined. This is going to tell the whole story, and of course it's a travesty that the captain was court-martialed so for being torpedoed on a secret mission. But anyway, I can't wait to read it. I will probably read it well before the summer, just because World War II history would be up my alley anyway. Then, oh god, this next one is sealed tight in a box. What have we got here? What have we got here? What is this? Oh my. Okay. This also comes out in the summer. This comes out in June. This is it's in a box. It's in a box of some kind. Do we still need the scissors? Jeez, how precious is this thing anyway? I don't want to destroy anything that I don't have to destroy. This is a YA author. So how's that? I'm back with the cool kids on book 2. This is Sabaa Tahir. This is an advanced copy of Reaper at the Gates, her 3rd book. This is an Ember in the Ashes novel. They've changed the cover art. They've drastically changed the cover art. Huh. I wonder... Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, I wonder if they're going to do that retroactively for all the other books. But they are. Look at that. They're all going to look different. They aren't going to look... that's a... Gee, that's a bit of a shame. This artwork is vivid, yes, but it's a little derivative. Whereas the previous artwork was completely distinctive. But anyway, this comes out in June. What have we got here? Here, let me hold you up this thing. Some of you might like this cover art. Let me know if those of you know this series. Do you prefer this to the original? I like this sort of impersonal look of the first 2. I I got used to those covers. I don't really want to know what the artist thinks these characters look like. Let's see here. Each installment in the Ember Quartet takes us deeper into the brutal but vividly drawn world of the Marshall Empire, an oppressive regime where defiance is met with death. An Ember in the Ashes captivated readers, introduced them to a cast of characters whose destinies converged to change the fate of the Empire forever. Laia, a slave fighting for her family. Elias, a soldier fighting for his freedom and also a super hottie. And Helene, whose loyalty to the Empire will cost her all that she holds dear, by far the most interesting character in the first 2 books, by far. In A Torch Against the Night, the plot thickened and relationships deepened, firmly establishing Sabaa Tahir, the author, as a master of her craft. And now we have the 3rd book in the series. And that's great. That's fantastic. Okay, so this is A Reaper at the Gates. Do we have a plot? Oh yeah, here we go. Helene Aquila, the Blood Shrike, is desperate to protect her sister's life and the lives of everyone in the Empire, but she knows that danger lurks on all sides. Emperor Marcus, haunted by his past, grows increasingly unstable and violent, while Karis Vituria, the ruthless commandant, she's a great character too, capitalizes on the Emperor's volatility to grow her own power, regardless of the carnage she leaves in her past. Far to the east, Laia of Sarah knows that the fate of the world lies not in the machinations of the martial court, but in stopping the Nightbringer. But in the hunt to bring him down, Laia faces unexpected threats from those she hoped would help her, and is drawn into a battle she never thought she'd have to fight. Okay. Alright, great. Fantastic. So this is, this will always be the Sabaa Tahir will always be a BookTube story for me. You're on BookTube long enough. I was just recently informed that I have lots and lots of it. I was just Skyping with somebody who has an app that lets him know how many videos you've made. Apparently, I'm well over the 1,000 mark. And you develop stories in that time. And this is one of my stories. Thanks to Francina Simone, who I'm sure you all subscribe to, one of the greatest booktubers of them all. And she and I were in correspondence about the 2nd book, An Ember in the Ashes. A Torch Against the Night is the 2nd book. And a lot of you know my shtick already. I'm in correspondence with you. I'm automatically going to ask if there's anything I can get you. And she said, I would absolutely love an advance copy of A Torch Against the Night. And I said, okay, sure, I'll look for it. And and the next time I was at the Christian Science Monitor, I saw an advance copy of the book. And when I was talking with my editor there, I said, and I pointed to the advance copy, and I said, and I'd like this too. And my editor said, you want to review it? Oh, sure thing. So Francina Simone has the distinction of being the only person in the world who's ever got me to review a YA novel for an audience. I walked out of the Monitor that day, as I said to her, I walked out of the Monitor that day, and under my breath I said something that I suspect 1 or 2 other people have said as well. Damn it, Francina. But I ended up liking the book a lot, and I reread the first one, and I liked it a lot. So I'm up. Actually, now that I think about it, am I blurbed? Am I blurbed in a YA book? That would be the ultimate. I am. Torch Against the Night, I am blurbed. That's Francina Simone's fault. Torch Against the Night is an unabashed page-turner that scarcely ever pauses for breath, and boy, oh boy, is that true. There's almost no... The characters don't have time to think in the book, and you might think that would hurt it, but boy, oh boy. This author knows how to keep a plot boiling. So, alright, so this comes out in June. I am going to keep my mouth completely shut around any editor. I will review this, but I want to do it for a smaller audience, so I'll do it for Open Letters. So this is Reaper at the Gates. There's two paperbacks, 2 advanced copies here. Two different sides of the booktubing, Steve. We have A Reaper at the Gates, which is YA, and Indianapolis, a gigantic book about the USS Indianapolis, the disaster, the wake of the disaster, and the court-martial of the captain and the struggle to clear his name. A struggle that has counterparts even with the other, marquee World War II disaster, which is Pearl Harbor. the idea of a lot of people have tried for decades to clear the name of the admiral who was in charge of Pearl Harbor. You know, he can't possibly be held to blame for a sneak attack, and you know, surely his name should be cleared as well. I don't think I can put this. I don't know. This box was taped on here, so I think I just have to do without it. All right. Well, that's our small mail haul for now. We'll be back with more. And in the meantime, let me know what you think about our read along for May. What you want it to be. I'm pretty sure that you would all agree that probably the next Trollope book is a little too much Trollope. So where do we want to go instead? Do we want to do, I don't even know, Pride and Prejudice? Beowulf? Do you want to do a read-along of something you've already read, just for the fun of reading it really close detail together? Or do you want to pick something that you've always wanted to read? The only limitation, I would think, aside from the fact that it probably shouldn't be another 800-page Trollope, is that it probably shouldn't be anything hugely long, since we only have a month to do it. So, you know, War and Peace or Tale of Genji should probably be off the table. But I'm open to anything. So feel free to let me know, and I'll be back soon. Thank you, BookTube.